Hello, good morning. Happy almost full moon in Pisces with the lunar eclipse. The energies are intense. I can say from my own life, and I would imagine that other people are feeling the same. Depending on where it's landing in your chart, you'll be having different experiences. But it's my intention today to pull up the chart and take a look at what these energies look like. So I am going to get right on that. All right. So there it is. So the full moon is at 2:09 tomorrow afternoon. Today I'm recording this on the 6th. Um, and as you can see, there's a lovely stellium up here. Mercury, Sun, South Node. We'll talk about this stellium, and we're going to talk about the moon that is at 15 degrees. Sun and the moon are at 15 degrees, 22 minutes. The nodes are at 18 degrees, 20 minutes. And then, we have the other side of that. It's not actually stellium too far apart, but they're all right there next to each other, influencing each other nonetheless. So what do I want to talk about? Let's talk about the eclipse. An eclipse happens. There are generally four eclipses each year. They happen in the spring and in the fall, or they've been happening lately in the spring or the fall. And when the sun and the moon are in either an opposition or in a conjunction, and they are conjunct the nodes as well, which are also always in an opposition. So this time, the moon and the moon is conjunct the north node, and the sun is conjunct the south node. And so what an eclipse does is really bring intense energy. So a full moon is a completion of an energy. The energies that one started at the beginning of the season with the first eclipse in March, but also the new moon in Virgo last fall is culminating in this cycle. So it's almost like there was an extra push that happened in the spring to really bring it all to culmination in this 6 months since the spring eclipses. And so this energy is intense at the culmination. We are culminating a cycle of identity, who we've been, who we have seen ourselves as. In other words, it's a growth cycle. Our moon, our inner sense of self is evolving. And we're becoming, we've been adding new information, and we're ready to take that step. So you remember the new moon in Virgo 2 weeks ago really is also the beginning of a new cycle of Virgo, and we are culminating that as well. And it'll continue to play out over the next 6 months. But this energy with the moon is that we are closing this cycle of self, and it's in Pisces. We're letting go of an old way of seeing ourselves. We are going to be seeing ourselves in a different light. And it's closing to the North Node. Now, the North Node is moving to the left, and the moon is moving toward the right. So this is a closing conjunction, balsamic phase. And when these cross, as I've said before, the North Node represents our future self. So the old self and the new self are coming together. And when they cross, we'll be beginning a new cycle of the new self, which will happen very shortly after this eclipse. by tomorrow evening, we will be experiencing a new sense of self. And so I feel like there's an intensity in the air that some kind of event will happen for each of us, and maybe even for the collective, that will really begin this, complete the cycle and begin something new. Mostly, what I called my moon report on my written report was perfectly imperfect. And the reason is because of the opposition to the moon, which is the sun in Virgo. And this is an interesting stellium over here because Mercury is moving toward the sun, and the sun is moving toward the sun. It'll move a little bit faster than the sun, and so these two are also in a closing phase conjunction. And at the same time, the sun and the south node are also in a closing phase conjunction. Both of these two energies are coming together and like dissolving, burning off within the sun. The Mercury will come out on the other side, and we will begin a new cycle of Virgo with the mind. Okay, so let's talk about this Mercury, because Mercury rules the sun at this time, and it it is also the ruler of Virgo. And so what this tells me, where Mercury is like how we gather information, Virgo, how we gather information is the Gemini side of Mercury, and then how we internalize that information and sort fact from fiction and determine what is reality and what is non-reality. That's the Virgo archetype. And so basically what this is telling me is that the way that we have been internalizing information is coming to an end. We are ending a cycle of really a Virgo cycle of information. We're going to be internalizing. The way we have internalized the information is shifting, it's changing. Virgo energy, let's talk about that for a few minutes. So with Virgo, Virgo is in opposition to Pisces, and Pisces is seen as the whole, the culmination, the whole energy. It's the wholeness of reality, and Virgo would be the parts. It separates out the details. We can see the details very often with Virgo. It's the step-by-step process of work, the details of doing the work that will give us the completion of the whole. They work together in opposition to each other. One of the things that I have noticed with this Virgo archetype, and many people that have Virgo strong in their charts will probably also recognize this, is that the shadow side of Virgo is where we feel guilt, shame, we're not good enough. And it's also been associated with this energy of perfecting the self. And the reason we would perfect the self is because we're not perfect. We don't feel good enough. We don't measure up to the next person. Really, very often in Virgo, we're very, hyper aware of how other people are, and we measure ourselves against other people, and that causes this energy of, well, we either feel better than other people or worse than, and this energy can be problematic, particularly if you feel less than. There's like this hopelessness that can be around, be in your beingness. And this shadow side of Virgo is what's ending. We are changing the way that we see, and the reason that I say this, we're changing the way that we see ourselves as less than perfect, which is why I called my report perfectly imperfect, because there really is no such thing as perfection. That's very individualized for people. We are perfectly imperfect, and we are always improving. We are always adding. We are always in a constant state of becoming. And so, if we can be more Piscean about that, open and accepting, self-accepting, and forgiveness for our mistakes, mistakes are the way that we grow. You make a mistake, you say, "Oh, I've made a mistake. I'm going to fix that mistake." That's also the Virgo archetype, is to get increasingly better over time. And so we're going to end this energy of um, internalizing this shadow side of Virgo. Now, I'm going to skip over to the South Node, because the South Node is what I've been talking about for, since January, when the nodes moved into Pisces and Virgo, that this South Node is the energy of how we've identified ourselves through the eyes of Virgo, through the eyes of we're not good enough or we're better than others, but not through the eyes of equality. And that's the North Node. The North Node says that, we're all part of the whole, and each of us has different strengths and weaknesses, and that we can improve ourselves based on what it is that, personally for me, and what it is that we enjoy to do, instead of doing something because we don't feel good enough. So the South Node is also closing into the Sun, and will come out on the other side of the Sun, wherein we're going to be in the nodes will be in Virgo until, I believe, July of next year. So we still have a little bit more time to grow with this energy. But what's happening right now is we're really ending this perception that we aren't good enough. And then Virgo energy is going to shift for us, where we're going to use the Virgo energy in a way that really helps us to do a step-by-step process of becoming. And so, yeah, that's what I have to say about this stellium. Sun in Virgo is shining the light right now. We may be seeing parts of ourselves that are less than perfect, and we may be also shining a light on where this perfection has affected us within our lives. I want to move over to Uranus, because I think this is really important. Uranus, all of the outer planets are at 1 degree, and this is really, I think, important, because they're all sextile to each other, and this is, a universal energy that's affecting us, where Pluto wants us to break free from all the conditioning and really show up. We're trying to become our truth selves. We're dissolving who we have been, and with the Neptune, we're dissolving all the past way of being, all the past conditioning, and we're really aligning ourselves with whatever our ideal version of self is. All these planets are retrograde right now as well, which is really accelerating. So we're experiencing, in a very rapid succession, these experiences that are helping us to break out of the conditioning pattern, to dissolve any lingering ideals that are associated with how we see ourselves. And also, like I said, this Uranus in Gemini is very important to this particular moon, because Uranus is in Gemini. Gemini is ruled by Mercury. Uranus in Gemini is about fracturing a perception, a way that we have gathered information. And what I'm saying is that in this particular instance, because it's this eclipse, we're talking about how we're fracturing currently this information about ourselves that we have been carrying for a long time. And it's linked to, this dissolving societal norms. Everything is coming apart in the way that we have lived. And as we move forward, we are also coming apart and dissolving. And so there is this, perhaps, Uranus is the nervous system. We may have had anxiety or some kind of an energy that is, bothering us, and this acceleration of this fracturing of the mindset, and then it sort of gets dissolved as Mercury moves into the sun. It just, burns up. And so I think these are very linked together. They are square to each other. It's a first quarter square, which means that we have to make a choice. This is a crisis in action. We have to choose to let go of the way that we are seeing, that we have seen ourselves. It is absolutely a choice. Um, and I would venture to guess that something shocking will happen that will help us to make that choice. What else did I want to talk about? Okay, let's go to Venus. Venus is important right here. So Venus and Leo. Venus is how we relate to ourselves. It's how we relate to other people. Venus is it's about how we are focused, attuned to whatever sign it's in. And right now we are focused on the energy that's coming from the heart. This is our inner child, our true self. The focus is on becoming clear about who we are. And this lines up with all of these energies that I've been talking about so far, particularly at the outer planets that are really helping us to individuate, to break free from all the conditioning, and to really in to value who our true selves are. And this is all of these energies are accelerated, and to break free of this mindset that says we're not good enough, because that's just not the truth. We're all good enough. Even if we have, things with us that, need work, we can do that work without having to say that we aren't good enough. So our focus is very fixated on what's coming out, this authenticity that resides from within. We are clearing out the cobwebs so that we can really shine our true light and become ourselves. Um, and yeah, and I think be the happier for it. I want to go over here all the way across to the other side of this stellium, which I find is very interesting because these are mutually receptive energies, or what I like to call repeated themes. Venus rules Libra. Venus rules Libra. Mars does not rule Leo, but it's a similar energy. It's this energy of relating is what we're talking about. And so we're focused on relating to ourselves in a different way. And when we relate to ourselves, that is a very similar energy, because our external world is just a mirror. This is how we would relate to other people. So if we're relating to ourselves with authenticity, digging down to find the authenticity, then we're going to relate to other people in a very similar manner. And this energy over here which is the Mars, this shows how we are actioning the energy of Pluto. Pluto wants us to break free from our conditioning. And the way that we are going to be doing that is to change the way we relate to the world outside of ourselves. And by acting in a more balanced way, where, if we feel like we're not good enough, perhaps we don't shine our lights as fully, and we kind of dim ourselves, and we're not in a balanced way, and maybe that leads to some codependency. When we are focused in on that true shining self, then we are able to allow other people to do the same. So let me talk a little bit about the Libra archetype and how I understand it is that self and other are actually in conjunct from each other, the Taurus archetype and the Libra archetype, and which can lead to conflict. The in conjunct can lead to crisis and conflict because you really have a hard time focusing on self and other at the same time. So there's this back and forth energy between self and other that happens. When you're dealing with the Libra energy, you're learning to have balance between self and other, and you're learning to meet the needs of others and the needs of yourself. And the way that you learn to meet the needs of other people is by listening. So Libra rules the archetype of listening, while Taurus rules the ability to hear. And so we are listening to other people. We're listening to what they're saying. We're listening to what their needs are so that we are able to give them what they need. And it's happening in a receptive manner. So it comes back at us. This is the energy. As we dissolve this energy of not good enough or better than, we are trying to seek balance between ourselves and others. So I think that really describes the energies that are happening up at the top of the chart. I have over here Jupiter. So I was contemplating Jupiter as I was writing about it this week, and I started thinking, so Jupiter is this energy of expansion, and it's the energy, ultimately, the baseline is about freedom. And when it's in Cancer, Cancer is the moon. Cancer is our inner sense of self. Cancer is how we see ourselves, how we feel inwardly secure with ourselves. And that's expanding. And I got to thinking about that, you know, if our inner self is secure like this and all of a sudden it starts to grow, perhaps we're not feeling so secure, and perhaps we're feeling a little bit vulnerable when that happens. Not that our security won't build up as time goes on, but I was thinking about how that might feel a little bit vulnerable. And then also looking at the deacons of Cancer, the first decan would be ruled by Cancer. The second decan is ruled by Scorpio, and Scorpio is for sure dealing with this need to be vulnerable. The Scorpio archetype is about merging. It's about merging together with another human in a very vulnerable way so that um, both sides of the equation can empower themselves. And so this Jupiter in Cancer energy is about this vulnerability. And this is a square between Mars and Jupiter. We have to have a certain amount of vulnerability when we are relating to other people. It's about being truthful and authentic and vulnerable. And so I think this is part of the energies that are happening here in this moon. And so I was trying to describe to a friend how these eclipses work. It's like, the moons definitely are these cycles that happen, but it's like there's this extra push when there's an eclipse. The energy is very intense because it's trying to complete something, it's trying to start something. And so we are going to be feeling these energies pretty intently. Now, I do want to talk about these two planets here. They've been conjunct for a while. Saturn has recently moved into Pisces. It's retrograded back into Pisces. And in Pisces, what we're doing, because Saturn is retrograde, we are really focused on our own authority. And Pisces is the dream. It's the ideal. It's it's really it's what we desire. And this is the ability to really crystallize for ourselves what it is that we are desiring in life. And this conjunction right here is like, as the dissolving society is coming, we are really being able to crystallize for ourselves what we're looking for, what we're needing, and what we want to see as we evolve into the future. Neptune is in Aries, retrograde. We are accelerating the higher meaning of who we are. And Chiron is retrograde in Aries. And Chiron is healing the wound that has prevented us from stepping into that true self. And this happens because we have lived in these, tight community oriented things where everybody's kind of got to be doing the same thing or it doesn't seem to work. But I think all of that is changing because these outer planets are totally focused on the individual right now. There's a lot of energy that's breaking us out of the old thought patterns. It's breaking us out of any kind of conditioning, and it's really strengthening this ideal of who we are and who we are becoming. So this is what I see happening in the chart for this eclipse. And then we'll follow up with a new moon in Virgo again. So we're really working on Virgo in a different way. The new moon will be in Virgo in a couple of weeks. It will be a solar eclipse. And I will be working on that and studying what's happening. So I hope, yeah, I hope that this was informative for you. Yeah, intense energies coming ahead, and it's about letting go of this old way of seeing ourselves and really stepping into this new way, and really stepping into this new way where we're understanding and we have forgiveness and compassion. Life is not easy, folks, and this this energy is really pushing us forward to step into our own. Um, yeah, I think one more alignment I want to show you here. If I click on that north node, this is a yod or a finger of God. And this shows the energy, the vertex of the point here is the energy that we're moving toward. There's a lot of conflict, crisis that will happen when we're not focused on, our authenticity. We can have some crisis, and when we're not focused on seeking balance between self and another set of crisis. Yet the sextile between these two is really letting us know the energy that we can create within ourselves. They're supportive of each other. This energy of focusing, attuning to what is coming out of our heart, focusing on our sense of authenticity, and that the energies in the heavens are shining on us and holding this energy up for us so that we can align with it and hopefully make great strides. So yeah, that was the last thing that I wanted to show you. I'm going to take this down. Thank you all for listening, and I hope this was helpful for you. If you want to get a little more detail, I have written a very detailed report on my Substack account, and I will link that in the comments below. And if you're interested in understanding how these energies are affecting you, or either this moon, the next moon coming, or whenever, what energies are affecting you and you want to reach out and have me look at your chart, I would be happy to do so. And I will link my website in the comments below as well. Happy full moon in Pisces to all of you, and have a great weekend. Thanks again for listening.